Hey, this is Scott with Hammock here. I wanted to do a couple videos here. The first one, just a general how to hang a gathering hammock, and that's going to lead into the second video, which is going to explain a new product I'm coming out with that is going to help the experienced as well as the new hammock hanger get a consistent lay out in the field for a good night's sleep. And that's what we're all after when we're out there, right? So you can see behind me, I've got this kite. No, it's not a kite. It's my gathering hammock. It's just a 11.5-foot gathering hammock hanging between two trees. For my suspension, which is this section on out on both sides, that's called your suspension. I'm just using the basic 1-inch polyester strap and standard cinch buckles. There are many options out there for suspensions, and I would encourage you to go check out other videos about that. We're not going to get into the specifics of different suspensions in this video, but all these generalizations I'm going to talk about today will apply across the board for all those. So first thing you want to do is get your suspension around a tree, hang your hammock from there, and then what do? Right? You're going to hear terms like a 30-degree angle, 83% ridge line, and that can all be pretty confusing. Not only how do they apply to you, but why does it matter? So let's start, and really, as we talk about the ridge line and the 30-degree angle, they're closely related. Now, prior to the ridge line, this is pretty standard nowadays. Prior to this being a normal part of gathered in hammocks, the angle of your suspension greatly affected the lay of your hammock. If the angle was shallower, your hammock would hang like this. And many people think that that's going to give you a flatter lay, which is really not the case. And likewise, if you do a steeper angle, you're going to get a deeper sag in your hammock. Some people like that, but it's not necessarily the most convenient because the higher you get on the tree, the harder it is to reach to get that sag. So with a ridge line, this is going to help you get a consistent sag in your hammock. And what do I mean by that is this distance here is fixed, and normally fixed at about 83% of the hammock length, meaning that this ridge line, which runs from here to the same point on the other end of the hammock, is roughly 83% as long as if I were to stretch this hammock out just raw fabric. So again, I said this is an 11.5-foot hammock. Hanging here, it's probably more like 10 feet because of the sag with the structural ridge line. Okay, if I didn't lose you there, we'll go back to the 30-degree angle. So a 30-degree angle here, which if you were to draw a horizontal line, this angle here, roughly 30 degrees. Now don't get hung up on that because it's not really critical. You just want to be in that ballpark. And we'll get into an indicator of you being close on that 30-degree angle in just a minute. But a common cheat is to put your fingers like this, like a squirt gun, and hang it here, and we'll give you a close indicator of a 30-degree angle on your suspension. If you do have a structural ridge line, which I strongly encourage, another way you can tell that you're in the ballpark on your 30-degree on your suspension is just by sitting in your hammock. Put weight on the hammock and then reach up, and you want to try and rotate this. Take your fingers and bend that. You should be able to do that. Not super easy, but you shouldn't be able to play a tune on that string either. So this one I've already got set pretty good. I want to show you just so you can see the difference. If I loosen the suspension, it's going to give me more than a 30-degree angle, and it's going to loosen my ridge line. Now it may not look that much looser just hanging here, but put your weight in there and you're going to see, look how much that sags. This is no bueno. This is no good. So we're going to tighten her back up. Likewise, you don't want to be too loose. Now you'll have people that'll argue that the whole reason of a structural ridge line is so you can hang your hammock like this, that it doesn't matter how tight you get your suspension, the structural ridge line is going to keep your sag of your hammock proper, which is true. The sag is going to be the same, because the structural ridge line prevents it from pulling too tight. But what happens when you have a real shallow suspension angle is that you put an exponentially increase the amount of forces on not only the trees, but on the suspension itself. Now you don't do a whole lot more stress on your hammock because it's connected by the points where this joins your suspension, but you do put a lot more stress on your ridge line, on your straps, on the tree, on the connection points. So try to avoid that if possible. Now the fixed suspension or the fixed ridge line, structural ridge line, sorry for using so many different terms, does give you a little leeway there. You can have it a little tighter than 30 degrees and still get away with it, but all in all, you want to try to stay as close to 30 degrees as what you can. Again, there is a lot to hang a gathering hammock consistently each time, so trying to minimize the variables each time we go out will again get us to a more consistent lay each time. You're going to have a good night's sleep because you're not going to be moving around your hammock. It's not going to be too tight, too loose. Your insulation will stay in place better if you get all this right. And it may sound difficult when you're first getting started, but trust me, it gets easier and you will enjoy it, I promise. So we're back to a pretty good tension on here, and you may see this little doohickey right here. That's what I call the UnLevel, and I'm gonna get into that in the next video. But make sure you have your setup proper to this point where you've got a good angle on your suspension, and more than anything that this is tensioned properly. If you have this tensioned properly, chances are that your tension on your the angle on your suspension is going to be good as well, and your suspension is going to be happy, trees are going to be happy, you're going to be out in the woods, and you're going to be happy. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this video. Please join me in the next video as I go into the details of what this is, why it's important, and how it can help you have a better hang out there in the woods. This is Scott with Hammock Gear. Remember, eat adventure, make adventure. Get out there and be safe.